Welcome back to Google Developers Live at I/O from Moscone Center here in San Francisco. We're here to talk about Blink. I'm Louis Gray, and I'm joined by Alex Komoroske and Paul Irish. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Real quickly, we want to talk about Blink, brand new rendering engine. I want to give your guys' take on what's been introduced.
So Blink is a new rendering engine. It's based off of originally off of WebKit. It's a rendering engine that's open source and it's using Chromium and Chrome.
So you said open source. Is it a Google product? Open source? Help us out.
It's it's operated within kind of the Chromium open source community. So there's Chromium, which is kind of the open source implementation of Google Chrome, they're basically 99% the same, with a few very small differences. But Blink is an open source project, and likely even going to be. We expect it to be used in Opera's products as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's open source, and one of the things that one of our main goals with the project is to be as transparent as open as possible. So we're trying to have as much of a discussion in public channels. We've already seen a lot of really good engagement from people from other companies, from other organizations and web developers on these threads, sort of providing their feedback about features we're thinking about implementing, and it's been really great.
Right. So how does a new rendering engine benefit consumers anyway? Is it going to get faster? What's going to happen?
So as it starts out, it's based off of WebKit. So it's basically, it was about, as of a month ago, it was almost exactly the same. Since then, we've been optimizing some pieces on our side, and it will continue to get faster. And over time, however, a stronger, faster rendering engine allows you to do new things. So allows developers to build better experiences. It allows them to be faster, so consumers' web pages will just appear faster and do more things.
One of the main things that we'd like to, that we focus a lot on is speed, right? And so when I'm scrolling a page on my phone, I want it to stick to my finger, and I want that experience to be fantastic. And with Blink, we have the opportunity to make some really kind of radical changes to the infrastructure of how a browser is put together to really deliver a fast and awesome user experience.
So one thing that's really interesting, you look at the web, and it was talked about today in today's keynote. We're on the 20th anniversary of the introduction of the web. And one of the things that's really helped the web grow and just work on practically every device is standards.
Yeah,
and so with the introduction of a new rendering engine, is this a situation where web developers and app developers who code for the web are going to have to make two versions of their product? What does that mean for a developer side?
There's no big real changes. The Blink is dedicated to just supporting an interoperable web, and that's something that we believe a lot in, and it's having a compatible, interoperable web. So for developers building for the web, you build to web standards, you build just as you did, and you can expect it to work.
And I think back many years ago, different browsers were very different. I think in the past few years, the different rendering engines have gotten closer and closer. A lot closer, as everyone really is taking standards very seriously. We're also investing, we're very excited to invest more in testing. So helping write tests with standards organizations and other browser vendors that all the browser rendering engines can run. And that helps verify that these things are interoperable. And so the developers only have to they don't have to write totally different versions for different browsers.
In the past, developers have known about browser quirks and things like that. And over the past few years, they've been less and less because browsers are running the exact same tests, even though they're different products.
Right. So this is a situation you used to have modern browsers and non-modern browsers. Is Blink a cut above? Is it going to be the most modern browser?
It certainly moves fast, and it gets new features all the time. But it's really you're gonna get a consistent experience when you're coding to the new features.
And although the goal is to build the best possible rendering engine we can, but what's great about the open web is you have all these different compatible rendering engines, and so this is very healthy competition to spur innovation throughout the ecosystem.
So one thing we've talked about before, since Blink is still fairly new, and we're talking a little bit about the new features that are going to come out. We expect the community to respond really strongly. One of the questions I have around browsing is we have so many people who are browsing on mobile these days relative to the desktop. How much did the advancement of mobile usage of browsing impact the decision to look toward Blink? And do you think that mobile users can see the benefits of Blink as quickly as desktop?
So I think if you saw the keynote this morning, Linus talked a lot about how the future of the web is mobile. And so we take this really seriously on the Chrome team. Now, the reason that we started Blink actually came down to the fact that Chromium's multi-process architecture is just different than the other WebKit-based browsers, and it led to complexity in the code base. And that was primarily the thing that drove us to make this decision. But yes, we care very deeply about mobile, and we're excited about the different kinds of things we can experiment with.
And when you look at the complexity in the code base, I remember when we launched, we had our initial blog posts and the reactions to it. A lot of discussion was taken to kind of getting away some of the cruft or older code that was available in WebKit. How does that benefit folks as well? Is it just easier to develop on it with fewer lines of code? And what are we getting away from?
I want to point out actually that WebKit is an amazing code base, and it's an amazing community. And what we were trying to remove were pieces that just weren't relevant to Chromium. And so when you have extra stuff in a code base that you aren't using, that's code that has more surface area for bugs. It takes longer to check out as a developer. It takes longer to build even. And so it was removing pieces that didn't apply to Chromium, but were still very nice pieces of code, like JavaScript core, for example.
Yep.
And one of the things, I mean, you mentioned code and cruft. One of the fun things I've seen bump up in coverage of Blink is vendor prefixes. For those of us online who don't know what a vendor prefix is, what is it, Paul? And why do I care about a vendor prefix?
So a vendor prefix, the idea behind vendor prefix is a way to kind of insulate users when browsers want to introduce kind of a new experimental feature. And they want to be able to have a little bit of freedom to maybe change it in the future, and then browser vendors will kind of work together, standardize it, and then the prefix that's in front of it will disappear, it'll graduate. Now, that was kind of the idea behind it, and it sounds good. But in practice, over the past few years, it's kind of not worked out, and it's had some kind of harmful effects on the ecosystem. So one of the things with the introduction of Blink was that we were able to take a policy and said that we're not going to be introducing any new vendor prefixes. It's painful as a developer to deal with having multiple vendor prefixes, and we're not going to add any new ones, and we're not going to introduce new features that have this. And this is a similar model to what Mozilla with Firefox has gone towards, and also the W3C CSS working group has kind of said that this is a direction that makes sense going forward.
Now, Blink is still fairly new. I know a lot of people often when something comes out right away, they say, how can I get my hands on it? And because Blink is an engine and not an app, it's not like you can just download Blink and start playing. But so if you want to get your hands on it either as a developer or as a user, what's the best way to do that?
So again, from the very beginning, it was literally just WebKit, and then we've been developing in a slightly different direction. And so all the newest versions ever since April 4th, I think, when we announced Blink, have been using Blink. It's just that it's not really that different yet. It's getting more and more different. And so those versions will become on the stable channel of Chrome in a number of weeks.
The Chrome beta has Blink in it, and Canary has Blink in it. So if you want to try it out, but
it's not going to feel very different.
And as a Chrome OS user, do I get access to Blink as well, or is that a separate branch?
Yep.
So I mean, I'm using my Pixel here. I use Pixel practically every single day, as often as I
love
can.
mine.
And so one of the things that's been really cool for me for the Pixel, I know we have a conversation about that tomorrow, is you're finding more and more web apps are replacing the things that I traditionally had to use a desktop for. Is that part of also our consideration as we build a new rendering engine to enable what's next in the world of web apps?
Absolutely. We believe very firmly that the web platform deserves to be as powerful as any other native platform. And so we've been pushing within the ecosystem, within the standards bodies, and really supporting that drive to make the web platform as powerful as possible. So.
Absolutely. Well, Paul and Alex, I appreciate you guys coming down today. I know you have a very busy Google I/O, really one of the hottest topics that's out there for the web and for Google in general. For those of you on the live stream, stay tuned. We have 4 more sessions coming your way, whether you're on the Android channel, Chrome channel, or the technical ones as well. And we'll be back right after those with more programming at Google Developers Live at I/O.